Another day, another tier list of takes, everybody. Today I'll be throwing out some Cavs takes, and my dad will be throwing them in a tier list. Quick question, what's the name of the show again?
This is Top Tier.
I feel like people have called Evan Mobley overrated so much as of late that he's become underrated, and people just not realizing really what he's doing on the court, because he's had a great past few games with like 10 games left in the season. But my take is, if Evan Mobley came in the league in Cade Cunningham's position, he'd be closer to who people want him to be right now. Now I'm gonna explain this because I think this is very interesting. I thought very long and hard about this. If you look at Cade Cunningham had time and luxury to do all the things that they would eventually want him to grow into. If you look at Evan Mobley, I think this year's like a big example of this. Is like we tried to put Mobley in this role where he's like a rim runner. He can bring the ball up the floor. The Cavs were in the same position the Pistons were with Cunningham, and they gave Mobley that chance to do the things they'd want him to do. And the moment they saw it wasn't necessarily working out the way it wanted them to, on the flip side, instead of just aborting the mission with it, like they did this year, I think they'd give him those years and that time. Because they're a winning team and they don't have the time and luxury to have Mobley do things that he's not necessarily tip top at yet. Like, I feel like he doesn't have the time to develop into this guy who can do all the things we really want him to because of the window his team is in. Like, if you look at when Evan Mobley came in the league, like the Cavs were already contending for a playoff spot. So it's like the second year you get Donovan Mitchell, so you get him and Darius Garland on the same team. Like, one, you're not giving Mobley that time to do all the stuff that you want him to do because you don't have the time to obviously invest in that because you're trying to be a winning team. But you also got Donovan and Darius on the same team. So I feel like if Evan Mobley was in Cade Cunningham's same position, I think he'd be at a place where everyone is expecting him to be right now.
I'm on the fence with your take here, Maliq. I'm going to go mid-tier on this one. I do agree with your assessment as far as comparing Evan Mobley's progression to that of Cade Cunningham's, going off of which situations their team was when they got drafted. So I can see your point there. I do not believe Evan Mobley is overrated. However, the things that he's been struggling with since his rookie season are still going on at this moment. He's had a pretty good 6 or 7 game stretch. I will give him that. But things like his free throw shooting, his inability to handle the ball in the post to get himself easier shots is holding him back from being the player we all know that he could be. And we've seen it several times. You know, Evan Mobley gets in the post up against somebody he could probably dominate against, and he's losing the ball. You know, it's not like he has to handle the ball like Kyrie Irving, but at least get some control under it. And this has been going on since his rookie season, and his free throw shooting has got to improve. So I believe in Evan Mobley. You know, as long as he can fix those issues and become more of a dog, I like where we're going with him. But I'm going to go mid-tier on this take.
I mean, the free throw thing, because you mentioned the free throw thing, I think that's a this year thing. Because before this year, he was hitting his free throws. I think he's just in a slump right now. But to defend my point, don't you think the stuff like the handling in things would kind of be more in tip-top shape the way we wanted it to if we allowed him to handle the ball more? Just a yes or no question.
I feel like he gets those opportunities. I'm sorry.
You feel like he gets those opportunities to handle the ball that often?
Yes. In the post, yes.
Okay, post
I know
is
that's
fine.
not a part of what the NBA is these days, you know, post play and things like that, you know, back to the basketball, but I feel like he gets those opportunities when it comes to down low.
But what about the downhill rim running stuff?
That's different.
So then again, like On the post stuff, maybe I can see what you're saying, but I just feel like if he had more opportunities with the ball in his hand, and he didn't have a team taking the ball out of his hand because he's not necessarily in tip-top shape at a specific skill because they're trying to win now. Like if they had patience with him in that area, you don't think he'd be better at some of these things?
Hopefully so. The playoffs are coming up, and we're going to have much more chances for that to happen. And he's going to have to show up, as well as the team giving him the opportunity to do so.
All right. One request though. Can I get yes or no answers next time?
I'm going to go with no.
All right, let's go to my next take, everybody. My next take. Now, everybody's been talking about the Cavs' defensive struggles so far, and a lot of things I've heard, is their point of attack defense not being good, and I agree with that. Their point of attack defense has to get better. But I think for literally years, we were just talking about Evan Mobley, as long as at least Evan Mobley has been here, and we've been a playoff contending team, and this is my take right here. I think the Cavs' arguably biggest issue defensively is consistently overhelping. I feel like it leads to all of these breakdowns in the defense to where, a guy goes to overhelp when he does not need to help. It leaves a shooter open. I feel like overhelping has been one of the Cavs' biggest defensive problems as long as they've been like a playoff contending team within the last 4 or 5 years. And it's like, I don't know when they're going to get a handle of this.
I absolutely agree with you on this one, Maliq. I'm going to go top tier with this take. We've seen it over the last 2 seasons, as you just said, the overhelping along the perimeter, leaving good shooters wide open. It's really been hindering the Cavs, and if it continues, it's going to hinder them this playoff season as well. Top tier take.
Yeah, it's as much as it has gone on within the past few years, I would think it's something they'd be better at by now. And if you go look at the film from that Miami game, like the first Miami game we lost on that back-to-back stretch at the end of the season where we are.
That one made me a little angry.
Yeah, all the threes Miami was hitting, a lot of those threes were coming off of players being open because the assignment that was supposed to be on that player went to overhelp on another guy that, did not need, specific help defense in that moment. So
I got high hopes into us improving that, with the addition of players like Keon Ellis, Max Strus is back. So I think we'll be working towards the opposite of that. But if not, it's going to be a problem.
Obviously, Dean Wade's injured right now, and obviously a lot of the stuff that comes with Dean Wade is health is one of those number one things. But I feel like another one of those things is always 3-point shooting. It's can he stay on the court with his 3-point shooting? I feel like a Dean Wade that is a consistent, and this is my take, a Dean Wade that is a consistent 3-point shooter in his role is that fifth starter at the wing position that everybody's kind of debating about as we're about to head into the playoffs. I feel like a Dean Wade that's consistently hitting his outside shots, with his ability to guard 1 through 5, I feel like that is your fifth starter. But he's got to be available too.
Yeah, that's the issue with Dean Wade, his availability. When he's on the court, I like what we have in him, especially on the defense side. I'm going to go good tier here. Not only the 3-point shooting, a lot of times when I'm watching the Cavs, I see Dean Wade clearly in spots where he's being set up to score, and he passes up each opportunity. So I think more of, yes, I totally agree with you on the 3-point shooting, but just offensively as a whole, he has to be more willing to take those opportunities that are given to him. I've seen James Harden set him up several times, and he's decided not to go to the basket. So good tier take there.
I want to piggyback off of that because I think you're right. I think aside from Dean Wade simply not knocking down threes at times, because like he has moments where he's a really good 3-point shooter, but like you
Yes.
said, like there are times where he'll just pass up the opportunity to shoot, and it's like Dean, like we believe in you. Go ahead and shoot. Go ahead
He's
and
got to
shoot
be
some
more
balls.
aggressive on offense.
Yeah, I think on top of that, though, I think one thing that I'm scared of for Dean Wade is I think back to the New York series, the first year Donovan was here, the series we lost. I think one of the most concerning things about that series, and I always remember it, game one, Okoro was not hitting his outside looks. And he had the most open looks in the world. As much as I love Okoro as a defender, like at that time, like 3-point shooting just was not one of his strong suits, and especially in that series. And it got to a point where the brother wasn't knocking down his threes enough to where he just couldn't be on the court in the last 5 minutes. Him not knocking down them shots and it leading to him having to be on the bench for those last 5-6 minutes, especially in game one. You then had dudes like Jetty Osman guarding Jalen Brunson. And look, Jetty, I love you. I love the contribution you had to the Cavs the years you were here. You always
Jetty
got a
Osman
special
catching
place.
strays on top tier.
No, you're not. You're not catching a stray. It's just there's matchups in the NBA. You got to win your matchups, and you got to be within the right matchups.
Absolutely.
But like you got down to the final 5-6 minutes in that game, and you had Jetty Osman guarding Jalen Brunson instead of Isaac Okoro guarding Jalen Brunson because Isaac Okoro just couldn't be on the court because he wasn't knocking down the shots offensively.
Yep.
Like when you're in a position like Dean Wade where you're so good defensively and it's so useful to your team, that's great. But if you're not knocking down on your offensive shots, you kind of play yourself off of the court. So I think
got to be more aggressive.
I think going into playoffs, like my biggest concern for Dean Wade, and I'm not saying it's going to happen because I still have tremendous belief in Dean Wade. I just think my fear for Dean Wade is that he becomes, what Isaac Okoro was. Because Isaac Okoro, I want to give you credit, incredible defender. I think he should have been on at least all defensive second team one of the years he was here. But like him not being able to knock down his outside shots led to him being off of the court in crucial moments.
And that's going to be pivotal for Dean Wade, as he's probably the Cavs' best wing defender / perimeter defender. So
yeah,
it's going to be kind of impossible to take him off of the floor. So we need him on offense as well. Not that he has to score 20 to 30 points every night, but take those opportunities when given.
And like to even speak about Isaac Okoro guarding Jalen Brunson in that series a couple of years ago, like did we see Dean Wade guarding Jalen Brunson a few weeks ago when we beat the Knicks in Cleveland? Like it's stuff like that where you're like, Dean, we really need you on the court, dude. Like we really need your help. So we just need his shot to keep him on the court. All right, next take here. If I could find, okay, yes, I believe, and I don't think this is arguable. Like this better go in at least the good tier. If James Harden gets a ring with the Cavs this year, I think he's at the very, and I'm talking at minimum, he's at the very least, after that, a top 10 Cavalier of all time. What tier is it in?
Top tier take.
I feel like this is kind of, I didn't want to make a layup with this, but I felt like it was a kind of a layup. Like I feel like even top 7, right? Because if we win a championship, he's going to be the at least second best player, right?
I agree with him making such an impact, being added to the team right before the trade deadline. That would be huge for him as far as all-time Cavaliers, because that would mean his impact was very immediate. We've only got one championship, so I think that puts him above a lot of Cavaliers players historically, even though he probably doesn't prove it on the stats. But that would be a huge impact considering how good this team has been over the last 2 to 3 seasons. And for us to go to the next plateau by adding him, totally agree. Top tier take.
been saying this way before people was catching on to this too, but I think Thomas Bryant is like proven to deserve playoff minutes, especially if it becomes like a matchup based thing. But I just think rebounding wise, he's been pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. And then I just think is a paint presence too. But it's just good to be able to have those guys that can allow you to have to work a little less hard for points, especially when you got guys like James Harden being able to set you up like he has with a lot of guys. But I just think having guys like Thomas Bryant out there at the same time as Evan Mobley, and they've played great together when they're on the floor together defensively. Like their defensive rating on the floor together, I don't have the specific stat, but it's been incredible when they have been on the floor together. I think the great thing about being able to have Mobley and Bryant on the floor together is you can keep Bryant next to the basket and have that paint presence next to the basket, but Mobley can still roam. Thomas being out there gives Mobley the ability to just roam and, you know, be on guys like the Tatums or whoever else is, you know, a big time star in the East that is, you know, one of the team's best offensive players. So Thomas Bryant, I want to see some playoff minutes for him when we get there.
I totally agree, Maliq. Top tier take here. Thomas Bryant has shown throughout the season that he deserves playoff minutes, and it is actually going to be vital for the Cavaliers. Other than Allen and Mobley, Thomas Bryant is really one of our only true bigs, other than Larry Nance Jr., who can't seem to get on the floor. But Thomas Bryant gives top-level effort on both ends of the floor. I like the experience he gained in the finals last year throughout Indiana's whole playoff run. You know, he was very helpful. He could do the same for us, you know, especially down low. I like the point you made about him and Mobley being on the floor, being that Evan Mobley has become a little better of a mid-range shooter. So I totally agree with you there. You know, we can't just run the whole playoffs with just Allen and Mobley at the 4 and 5. We're going to need another big to produce. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, like being able to have Bryant out there, like he's just not a guy that has to just stand in the painted area. Like the brother can space the floor, and I think that's another good thing to have.
Absolutely, you know, he's not that bad of a shooter either. So
yeah, like it gives defenses another guy that they have to at least give some respect to. Not that he's this amazing high volume 3-point shooter, but you,
right,
to a degree, you do gotta kind of respect Thomas Bryant to some degree, or he's gonna
a little bit of a versatile center there. So I think he'll definitely help out.
Out of the years that Donovan Mitchell has been here, I think that this is the best. I think it will be the best offensive shape that the Cavs will be in the playoffs ever since Donovan has been here. Now, let me explain this. Obviously, with Darius and Donovan, you have two high volume guys scorers who can score at will. But I think you look at the Knicks series, Garland didn't have the experience, Mitchell didn't play well. All right, but if you look at the last two playoffs, the Magic series and the Celtics series, Garland wasn't healthy, so he just wasn't the same player. He couldn't drive the same. He wasn't that scorer that the Cavs really needed him to be. And it was the same thing in the Pacers series when he was out there, and he was barely available for the playoffs last year. Obviously, no shade to him. He just wasn't available. But I just think the last 2 years, just seeing the Cavs fizzle out of the second round like they have, but seeing that there was potential to be better, I just think looking at those years, they didn't necessarily have that second guy that could be that it factor next to Mitchell. Like, I think the luxurious thing about having Donovan and James Harden is the fact that when Donovan's out on the court, you still got a guy in James Harden who's going to score at will. And then when Donovan's on the court, he's going to score at will. I just don't think you've had that the last 2 years in the playoffs. In the first year, because it was Darius' first year in the playoffs, you also didn't really have it a ton. So I think with that, on top of the way Jarrett Allen has been playing the way he's never played before, on top of me kind of feeling like this bench is a little deeper than it was the last 2 years. Like the Cavs, they can really, if Tyson and Dean Wade are healthy, they can really go 9, 10 deep. I think this is the best offensive shape that they will be in the playoffs. In Jesus' name, that they stay healthy. But I'm being so serious. I am being so serious. But I got a lot of faith for them offensively. I think defense is where the kind of question mark is. But I like where they've looked offensively going into playoffs as opposed to the last few years.
Another top tier take here, Malik. I think you're on the roll today. Having James Harden gives us a very dynamic duo to the point that everything won't be on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders as it has been the last 2 or 3 playoff runs. Not only just James Harden, his whole can he show up in the playoffs thing, it is a little bit exaggerated, but we're going to see what he really can do. He gives the Cavs another automatic score. Not only that, he's a very good passer. He's going to give everybody else on the team a lot more opportunities to score. You see the way him and Jarrett Allen have been playing together. It's going to add another dimension to the Cavs playoff run here. Also, if we could get Jaylon Tyson healthy back to his mid-season form, it's another automatic score that could be there. So I totally agree with you there. It's not going to be all on Donovan's shoulders this season, and that's going to make a difference for the Cavaliers. I agree.
Yeah, for certain. Listen, I'm a little concerned because you was agreeing with me a little more than usual today. I came with the heat, didn't I?
Yeah, you use all your stuff today. I can't say it's always going to be like that, but you came with it today. I have to give you that. Good stuff.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, this has been Top Tier, our Cavs edition. Next episode it'll be Browns edition, and I'll be ranking my dad's takes. Other than that, this has been Maliq Hicks. That is
Marlon Hicks here, signing off.
Peace out, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace.